Hello there and welcome to our Year 12 Next Steps event. My name's Victoria Calder and I'm the Careers Leader here at Northgate High School. Usually around this time of year, we'd be welcoming you into the school for the Year 12 Next Steps event, where we would have a range of speakers available to talk to you a bit more about the options, the pathways that students take on leaving our sixth form. Unfortunately, we're not able to run the event in quite the same way this year. And so instead, through our website, we've put on a virtual Next Steps event for you, where you will be able to watch a number of different video clips, which will give you more information, advice and guidance on the range of opportunities that are available post-18, so at the end of your time with us at Northgate Sixth Form. So just to explain a bit more about how the virtual Next Steps event works, we've got some main presentations to cover the main routes that our students take on leaving sixth form. I'm going to talk to you a bit about the career support that's available throughout your time at sixth form at Northgate, and also give you an overview of the post-18 options that are available to you. There's then a presentation, one for looking at higher education, one from Becky Foster from the University of East Anglia, so UEA, and another from Emily Warner of the University of Essex. Both of their presentations look at why go to university, student life, accommodation, and we'll touch briefly on putting in those UCAS university applications. Federica Bocchetti from the AIM group has kindly put together a video for us that looks at the apprenticeship route. So for some of you, you might be thinking of university, others of you will be thinking of apprenticeships and other alternatives to university, and Federica's presentation covers that. We then have a number of marketplace presentations that will give you a bit more information about some of the areas that you might be thinking about going into after you have completed your A-levels with us. There's presentations in the marketplace presentations looking at student finance. So for university courses, the tuition fee loans, the maintenance loans, and how student finance works. There's a higher education presentation looking at applying for competitive universities and competitive courses, and giving you lots of advice and guidance on that, including the range of supercurricular activities that you really need to be pursuing and become involved with in order to put in a competitive application at these universities. There's a presentation that looks at higher and degree level apprenticeships and the pros and cons of apprenticeships versus going to university to get your degree. We have a presentation looking at an introduction to Oxbridge that has been kindly put together by a couple of colleges, one from Cambridge and one from Oxford, to give you an introduction to the admissions process for applying for an Oxbridge course. And Suffolk New College have put together a presentation for you looking at their foundation art and design course. So for some of our students who are looking to go and do those kind of courses at university, the foundation art and design course at Suffolk New College allows you to bridge that gap between sort of A-levels with us and starting on a degree course in that area at university. So not all of these presentations will be relevant to all of you, so please do perhaps listen to the keynote presentations, and then from the marketplace presentations, listen to the ones that are relevant to you, that you'll benefit from listening to. So as I said at the beginning, I'm Victoria Calder, and I love working with the young people that we have in our sixth form at Northgate. It is a real privilege to work with them, to start to explore some of the choices that they're going to make in year 13 and help support them with the applications they're going to put in to move on, whether it be to university or into an apprenticeship or into employment or onto a gap year at the end of year 13. I obviously don't work alone. I work very closely with a number of other people who are all involved in providing that support for students in the sixth form at Northgate. So if students come and see us in careers, they will either see myself or my colleague Lorraine Cook, and we sort of between us will carry out the majority of the one-to-one guidance interviews that year 12, year 13 students will have. Alongside us, John Alexander is head of sixth form, and the rest of the sixth form team will also provide support to students, as will tutors and subject teachers. We work with a range of external partners as well. So like NICO, our local universities, the University of East Anglia, the University of Essex, the University of Suffolk and the University of Cambridge, as well as colleges like Suffolk New College in Ipswich or West Suffolk College at Bury St Edmunds, and local training providers who offer the apprenticeship opportunities. We have very good links with employers who will support a range of our careers-based activities that we do, and we also work closely with New Anglia LEP and the Careers and Enterprise Company. So throughout your time at sixth form, you will have access not just to the careers department, but a whole range of other people and organisations who are also there to help support you with your post-18 choices. So how does careers work at Northgate? Well, in year 12, some of this you will be familiar with because you will have already done. In year 12, we have careers lessons in the autumn and spring term. Now, this year, they've had to be virtual lessons due to the logistics of trying to get face-to-face careers lessons up and running in school. But hopefully you should have all received an email with details of how to access the virtual lesson on Stream. And you would have also on that email been emailed a template of a personal action plan along with a copy of the PowerPoint slides from the lesson. I know some of you have filled in that action plan because I've seen them, so thank you for those of you who have filled it in and sent it to me or popped in to see me to sort of talk through some of the things on there. That's absolutely great. It's really important that you do start to think about what you might want to do at the end of your time in sixth form with us, and start to write it down and start to plan out how you're going to get from where you are now to where you want to be at the end of year 13. Alongside the careers lessons, you also have access to one-to-one careers guidance appointments. Now, whereas the careers lessons have had to be virtual, the one-to-one careers guidance appointments have carried on in person. And I know some of you are very familiar with the system. There's a sign-up sheet on my office door in the careers suite, so in the admin block opposite the school library. And students are welcome to sign up to a careers appointment at a time that I'm free, and they're free on the sign-up sheet on the door. So if you do want to talk to me about your options, or if you want to talk through some of the sort of things that you've researched, and we've got any questions about anything, then please do come and sign up for a careers appointment with me. On a Monday morning, we have a careers drop-in session. So this is just for sixth form students, so students in year 12 and year 13. You don't need an appointment. You can just pop into careers and sort of drop in to ask me any questions that you've got, or to talk through anything that you want to explore a bit further. Due to the current situation, we realised that some things that we would do within the sixth form are a bit more difficult to do. So we've actually paid for a virtual work experience package, which I know some students in year 12 have really made good use of. If you haven't had a look at it, please do have a look at it now. There's lots of work experience there. Over 80 different sectors are on there offering virtual work experience. It ranges from perhaps a 1-hour session to some of them might be 4 or 5 hours long. So depending how much time you've got, depending what areas you're interested in, there should be some work experience on there for you to do. We appreciate it's really difficult at the moment for you to get work experience, and how important work experience is for you in terms of putting in competitive applications for university places or for apprenticeships. So hopefully as the year progresses, it might become a bit easier to find work experience, but in the meantime, please do take advantage of the online virtual work experience package that we've brought. You did have an email which explained to you how to use it, how to access it. If you do need any help with that, please do just ask, and I'm happy to send on the email or sit with you to get you set up on it. We've relied more heavily this term and last term on the bulletin to advertise careers related opportunities. There's lots of information on there each week. I know there's a lot to skim through, but there's lots of careers related learning, online work experience opportunities, and details about university taster sessions and virtual open days on there, as well as actual apprenticeship vacancies. So please do take some time each week to skim through the bulletin. Some of the things that we haven't quite been able to get up and running have been the careers talks in the sort of volume that we'd normally hope to do. Some of these we've managed to have as virtual talks, and they're available on Stream for you to access, to have a look at in your own time when you're free. But we're hoping that from the autumn we we will be able to run our in-school careers talks again. And these take place in a lunchtime in the autumn term. So when you come back in September, they have an HE and FE focus where we look at applying for university, personal statements, preparing for university interviews, putting in apprenticeship applications. And in the spring term, they usually have an employer focus. So we look at different areas of employment, different job sectors, and we have a huge range of different people coming in to talk to you about working in those areas. So it might range from medicine and nursing to construction to veterinary surgery. We've had people come in from broadcasting, so from local radio stations. So we've had a huge range of people come in to talk about working in their sector. So we've tried at the moment to upload some relevant videos to stream. So there are some careers talks on stream for you to access. And we're hoping that as we move into the autumn term, we will be able to go back to our in-person careers talks. And we would invite you to come along to as many of those that are relevant to you. The university taster sessions in person, the university trips, at the moment it's a bit unclear whether they'll be able to go ahead in the summer term. We're hoping that as the summer progresses, that universities will be able to hold their on-campus open events and taster sessions. And if they do, it's really important that if you're thinking of university, you do try and get yourself along to these open days and do these in-person open days and taster sessions, so you can get a real feel for what it would be like to study at university. So as I said a couple of minutes ago, the careers lessons have been online so far this year. We're hoping in the summer term that we will be able to have some face-to-face time. But at the moment, the careers lessons have been online and have focused on trying to get you and support you to actually start to research your options and the different things that you have got available to you that you might go on and do at the end of year 13. So researching your options, you should have had a look at university, you should have had a look at further education courses, apprenticeships, employment, and if you're planning on a gap year, started to think about what you might do in your gap year, so whether it's volunteering, employment, travel, or further learning. We had a look in the careers lesson at, if you're looking at these different routes, what you need to be doing to prepare. And you should then have filled in the careers action plan to really direct it to what you're interested in. Some of you might be very clear what you want to do at the end of your time in sixth form with us. Others of you will still be exploring a number of options, and it's perfectly okay in year 13 to perhaps apply for university and apply for some apprenticeship vacancies, see how your exams go, see what offers you get, and then decide nearer the summer of taking your A-levels what it is you're actually going to go on and do that autumn. So like I said, some will have very specific things in mind. Others of you might still be looking at a number of different opportunities. And for a lot of young people, it is a difficult decision to make. If you are thinking of university, we spent some time looking at the range of supercurricular activities that universities would expect you to take part in. So it's, it sounds a bit harsh, but it's not just getting those good grades at A-level and completing your A-level courses. They would expect you to be doing work around the subject that you're applying to do at university. So whether it's reading around the subject, watching documentaries, visiting museums or galleries, it might be following prominent professionals in that field on social media. It could be listening to podcasts or radio programs, watching TED Talks. So what they're looking for is a range of activities that show you have gone above and beyond just the A-level syllabus. So if you are thinking of university, then you should be looking at that. Alongside that, you've got the work experience aspect. So that's really important if you're looking for things like apprenticeships or some vocational courses at university. They would expect you to have some relevant work experience, and at the moment they recognise how difficult it is for you, but there is a whole range of virtual work experience opportunities available, along with sort of some online learning opportunities. So there really is no excuse to not have done anything, because there is a lot of virtual work experience and online learning opportunities there that you can really make the most of. So just to give you a brief overview of some of those different options that students have looked at in their careers lessons. students going to higher education go on to university for a number of reasons. University, there's lots of benefits for young people to go to university. They will gain, alongside a good academic education and qualification, they will gain a whole range of transferable skills. So completing a degree course not only gives you knowledge in the subject area that you've completed your degree in, but it will also help young people develop their skills of communication, teamwork, analysis, their research skills, their problem solving skills, their numeracy and literacy. Having a degree going to university greatly improves a young person's career prospects, and for some jobs, some careers, it actually is essential that you have a degree. So if you want to be a nurse or a teacher or a doctor, you do actually need a degree for those jobs. So for some careers that students might be thinking of going into, they actually do need a degree in order to do that career, in order to do that job. Obviously, the university experience is a big draw for some young people. So that academic experience of being able to learn in a university environment, having that more independence around their learning. But there's also that social aspect too. So gaining independence, managing their finances themselves, and the sort of social experience of being in a university environment. Approximately over the last few years, approximately a third of all 18 to 19-year-olds have progressed directly post-18 onto university. And of our current year 13 cohort, we've had 70% apply for university. So this was down on last year. Last year we had 80% of our year 13s apply for university by the main January UCAS deadline. But this year we've had 70% apply, which is in line really with previous years. So I think last year we had a higher percentage, higher proportion of our year 13s apply. The year before that, so for 2019 entry, we had 71% apply. So we're sort of around the 70% and in line with that again. Just sort of to give you that, put that in a bit of context for you, this year by the main UCAS deadline, which was pushed back a couple of weeks to the 29th of January this year instead of the 15th of January, UCAS had received 616,360 UCAS applications by that main January 2021 UCAS deadline. This was up from 568,330 applications the previous year, so in the same period in 2020. This year saw a record of 42.6% of all UK 18-year-olds apply for university, and in 2020 the figure was 39.5%. So we have seen a 2-3% increase in the number of 18-year-olds applying to university in the UK. Alongside that, we've had this year a record number of 85,610 applicants from outside the EU applying for UK universities. So that was up 17.1% from those applications in 2020. And it's been fueled, by the looks of it, by larger numbers applying from countries like China and India to come and study in UK universities. Probably not unsurprisingly, but EU applicants to UK universities has fallen by 40% in the last year. Currently, the graduate job market is in flux, a bit like the general job market. Some sectors are still performing strongly, other sectors are performing not quite so strongly. And average graduate starting salaries, as I'm sure you're aware, will vary by subject. So, for example, business management, you might expect to earn just over £24,000 a year. Maths graduates might expect to earn £26,000 a year. And then things like sport, slightly lower, around 20,000, and creative arts and designs around £15,000 a year. So average graduate salaries will vary by the subject you've studied at university, but research shows that you will have that net financial gain from a degree over your lifetime. And research has shown that it might be that you benefit financially by anything between £100,000 and £500,000 over your working life when compared to somebody doing a similar job who hasn't got a degree. So what are students studying at university? So over the last 2 or 3 years, this hasn't really changed a lot. At the top there, you've got subjects that are allied to medicine and biological sciences. Towards the bottom, you've got European languages, technologies, and non-European languages. So this hasn't really changed much in the last few years. And actually, I think UCAS said that they've seen a huge number of students this year, a big increase in those applying for courses like nursing, which probably isn't surprising given the current context. So we haven't really seen a lot of change nationally in the subjects that are being applied for to be studied at university. So if you are thinking of university, just some important dates to make you aware of. UCAS run the University and Colleges Admission Service, and they have set deadlines and an established cycle by which students apply for university places. The UCAS deadlines for Oxbridge, so applying to Oxford or Cambridge, and for medicine, veterinary and dentistry courses is the 15th of October 2021. So it's quite early on after we come back to school in the autumn. The main UCAS deadline is the 15th of January 2022. Some art and design courses have a slightly later deadline at the 24th of March 2022, but the main UCAS deadline for most courses is the 15th of January 2022. Now at Northgate, we have slightly earlier internal deadlines for these courses because obviously we need time to process students' applications and write their academic references. So our internal deadline for Oxbridge, medicine, veterinary, dentistry UCAS applications is the 27th of September 2021, and our deadline for all other UCAS applications is the 8th of November 2021. So we deliberately have those slightly earlier deadlines so we can support students if perhaps their application needs to go backwards and forwards a bit between us, or if they need help with their personal statement. And it also allows us to have the time to write their academic reference and fill in our section on the UCAS form. At the moment, UCAS aren't saying that anything will change in terms of the established cycle. So we're advising students to work to deadlines in the published established UCAS cycle. And we expect that these deadlines of the 15th of October for the early deadline courses and the 15th of January for the main UCAS deadline to remain the same. So students need to plan their applications to make sure they're meeting these dates. So a number of students are now looking at apprenticeships, and we've seen an increase in the number of students in our sixth form looking at the degree apprenticeship options or the higher level apprenticeship options. Apprenticeships are increasingly appealing to young people. They are a real job, it is paid employment, so you'll earn a salary while you continue your learning. So you're gaining nationally recognised qualifications while you're doing a job and learning on the job how to do that role. The advantages of apprenticeships are that the employer pays for your training costs. So if you're doing a degree level apprenticeship, the employer would pay for your university fees. So you don't have any cost associated with that. And you're paid a salary while you do your apprenticeship because it is a real job. So not only do you have no costs for tuition fees, you also get paid a salary by the employer at the same time. Apprenticeships give you real experience in the workplace. You are there as an employee doing a job, and you'll gain a whole range of transferable skills that will allow you to move from that job onto other jobs, whether you get promoted, go and work for a different organisation. You've got 4 different levels of apprenticeship, starting at the level 2 intermediate apprenticeships, going up to degree level and beyond. So there really is sort of that whole route of progressing through the apprenticeships where you can go up to degree level. There are some videos in the marketplace videos that look at the advantages of doing an apprenticeship against a degree at university, and Federica has kindly put together a very comprehensive presentation looking at apprenticeship opportunities generally and what apprenticeships are and how to access them. So if you are thinking of doing the apprenticeship, please do watch those videos as well. When we're thinking about employment, and some of our students from sixth form will go into an apprenticeship or straight into employment, it's important that we think about how the world of work has changed and is changing currently. To put some of this into context, the workplace looks dramatically different than it did perhaps a decade ago, and that means that students, we're preparing them for that workplace that's very different from the workplace that we would have entered when we left school, left university. Sociological, technological, environmental changes mean that the workplace has had to adapt to keep up with the times, and we've seen really real life examples of this over the last year, how many people now can work remotely, don't need to go into offices, don't need to do the commute. How people look for jobs has changed massively. It's now commonplace that you will complete an application form online, you might have a telephone interview, you might have a remote video interview before actually meeting the person recruiting for that job in person. Job adverts are often online now, and employers can do checks on people applying for jobs by looking through social media accounts to get a real feel for that person. So we've seen with this advances in technology in terms of recruitment, a sort of breakdown in terms of the geographical barriers that there might have been in place around jobs in the past. Roles at work have also changed. A number of students that are currently at primary school will be doing jobs that don't even exist at the moment. So, we're preparing young people, you're preparing to enter a workforce that is very different from the workforce that we had 10, 20 years ago. And some of those opportunities, some of those jobs out there, they won't even exist at the moment. So roles and responsibilities have changed within the workplace. More people we would expect will be freelancing or perhaps self-employed. Entrepreneurship is on the rise. So people setting up their own businesses and being very creative with what they do to earn money. And there's more sort of diversity in the workplace, which is driving through some of these changes. Demographic changes will also mean that there is a change in the way that we work. A number of people will work in a more flexible way now, whether it's with the home working or compressing working weeks, or perhaps looking to spend some time working in a completely different way or a different role than would have been available before. We've got more females in the workplace, and we're seeing people working perhaps to a later age, to an older age than we would have seen previously. Communication changes. The technology, as we've seen lots of practical examples of over the last year, has really brought lots of changes from how information is communicated or data is stored. And there is the ability for people to work outside the office. People don't have to go into that office environment to work now. I guess one of the disadvantages of that is maybe we'll see, or we have seen, this sort of blurring between work life and personal life. But I mean, there are obvious advantages of not having to do a 2-hour commute to go into the city each day. So, I mean, really, I guess what I'm saying is, everything changes. And when it comes to the job market, advances in technology, they're giving people career options that weren't there before. So things that people perhaps wouldn't have considered before. The careers market is changing. We are preparing young people for jobs that didn't exist 20 years ago. These transferable skills are even more important because they're what will allow you to go on and remain employable, remain competitive when you're going for these different jobs or apprenticeships. I had a look, and some of the jobs that I thought, yes, this is very different and wouldn't have been there 10 years ago. There was a job for a solar farm manager, so wind farm manager, solar panel farm manager, digital marketing, an app developer. Jobs like that just wouldn't have been around 10, 20 years ago. And we had 30 years ago, when we looked at job titles, you had about 2,000 different job titles. Now you've got around 20,000 different job titles out there. So it is exciting, and there are huge changes out there in the world of work, which are bringing huge opportunities to young people. So things for you to do, just sort of finally, really from me, some of the things that really students need to be doing between now and putting in those applications towards the end of the year. University open days. They are really, really important. If you're thinking of going to university, or if you're not sure whether university is for you or you're not, it is really important that you do start to prepare to put in that application by doing your research and then trying to take part in some university open days. At the moment, they're all virtual, but I know universities are really hopeful that come the summer, they'll be able to run on-campus events for you. So please do take advantage of that. Opendays.com is a really good website to go on. You can search for different universities on there and it will tell you when their open events are coming up. So you've got the one website which will list all university open days. So that's a really good sort of first place to have a look. University taster sessions, again, these will run throughout the next sort of 6 months for you. At the moment, they're online, so you can do a whole range of virtual ones from the comfort of your own home. Hopefully going forward, you'll be able to get on campus and do some of these. It might be summer schools, it might just be sort of day sort of taster sessions that you take part in. Work experience. So at the moment, you should be drafting your CV. I've sent round by email a next steps booklet that accompanies this presentation, which has got some guidance on putting together your CV. And we'll look at your CVs that you're producing in the early part of the summer term. Work experience is important. At the moment, we've got the virtual package that I spoke about earlier on in this presentation. And as we move into the summer, hopefully you'll be able to pick up some of this in person. Part-time employment is also a good sort of way to get some really relevant work experience and also perhaps earn a bit of money. Again, it might be difficult at the moment because a lot of the sort of hospitality retail jobs that students might typically look to do aren't available, but do keep your options open, do keep an eye, and as things start to open up again, part-time employment might be an opportunity for you. If you are thinking of applying for an academic subject at university, then make sure you're doing your research and reading around the subject. So make sure that you can really demonstrate where you've gone above and beyond the A-level syllabus in terms of your reading and research around that subject that you're applying to do at university. So it could be books, it could be journals, you could watch documentaries, you could watch TED Talks, listen to podcasts, radio programs. There's a whole range of things that you could do. And as things start to open up again, visiting museums, visiting galleries are all examples of where you've gone above and beyond the A-level syllabus to show your real passion and commitment and enthusiasm for that subject. As we move further into the summer term, we're going to start to look at UCAS personal statements, and over the summer holiday period is the time for you to start to draft that personal statement. So when you come back in September, you have got a draft that we can look at together. So we will look at, in the second part of the summer term, writing personal statements, and you'll have a careers and wellbeing day where one of the things we do is looking at the UCAS personal statement, and then over the summer is really the opportunity to start to draft that statement. The UCAS 2022 course search opens in May, so I will send you an email around when it opens, but from that point you can start to use the UCAS course search option to look at the course choices that you've got available for 2022 entry. And UCAS 2022 applicant registration will open mid-June. So again, I'll let you know when it opens, but from that point you can register on UCAS and set up an account in Apply 2022. The other sorts of things you can be doing are researching any additional tests that you might need to do. So for example, if you're applying for medicine, you might need to do the UCAT or the BMAT test. If you're applying for Oxford or Cambridge, they will have admissions tests. So as you're researching your course options at universities, have a look at whether there's any additional admissions tests that you need to do and start to do your preparation around preparing to take these tests. And just finally, some of the things that we've got coming up in careers, some of them are sort of to be confirmed or hopeful. So at the moment, it's difficult to predict what we might be able to do over the next few months. But some of the things we've got coming up, hopefully, are some of our students are taking part in an Oxbridge webinar series. Unfortunately, our Oxbridge conference at Northgate wasn't able to go ahead this April. So instead, our students are doing an Oxbridge webinar series, which is running on a monthly basis, monthly webinar between March and July, looking at putting in competitive applications, supercurricular activities, student life for Oxford and Cambridge. So covering a whole range of things that we would have traditionally covered in our Oxbridge conference. Our medics conference, so those of you thinking about applying for medicine, we're hopeful that that will still go ahead. That's hosted by another local school. So we host the Oxbridge conference, another local school hosts the medics conference. They're hoping that that will go ahead in late June, but that's still to be confirmed. But they're hoping it will be an in-person event in late June. The UCAS Higher Education Convention, usually we go down to the University of Suffolk to go and look around the Higher Education Convention. They usually have around 100 different universities there with stands, all there to talk to you about the opportunities they have available to you. That's penciled in for the 16th of June, but again, it needs to be confirmed whether that sort of scale of event is able to go ahead or not. We have our Careers and Wellbeing Day at Northgate, which is for the 7th of July this year. So we have a whole day where we look at a range of different careers things related to university and apprenticeships, and also address sort of wellbeing as well and stress management. Our careers talks, I'm hoping, will start up again in the autumn term, where we can have people come in to talk to students about applying for university, applying for apprenticeships. We have that focus in the autumn term, and then in the spring term, the different employment sectors focus for our talks. In September, we'll start our Oxbridge preparation, and hopefully we'll be able to have one of the admissions tutors from Cambridge come to run that session for us. Last year it went ahead remotely, so it was done through Zoom. And that is geared up for the students that are applying to Oxford or Cambridge to help prepare them for interview. And then we follow that with mock interviews for medicine and Oxbridge, and also other courses that might interview. So nursing's another one that does interview. And then we run a series of apprenticeship workshops in November to help support students who are putting in applications for apprenticeships. So they're the sorts of things we've got coming up at Northgate over the next 6 months to help support students, whether it's applying for apprenticeships or applying for university. So thank you for listening to this presentation. Hopefully it's given you an idea of the career support that's available at Northgate, and also some of the activities that are available to students over the next 6 months. Please do watch the other keynote presentations, so you've got an idea about sort of what it's like to apply to and go and study at university, and also look at the apprenticeships videos if you're interested in that, and the relevant marketplace presentations. If you do have any questions at all after you've watched these videos, then please do email careers@northgate.suffolk.sch.uk, and your email will then be forwarded on to the most appropriate person to answer your query. So if you do have any questions, please do get in touch. If you're in school, so if students are in school and you want to see me, you want to talk through your research you're doing and the things you're finding out and what you're thinking you might go on and do at the end of your time with us, then please do pop into Careers and see me and book a careers appointment with me, because I'm always happy to talk to students about their choices and the decisions that they're making. So if you are in school, please do pop along and see me, book an appointment and see me in person. If you have any sort of queries, questions, and that's difficult to do, and it's difficult to come and see me, then please do email the careers@northgate email address, and then the most appropriate person can get back to you and help you with your query. So I hope that you do find the other presentations interesting, that they're useful, and look forward to working with you over the next sort of year and a half, supporting you as you look at the different options, the different pathways that you're going to take at the end of your time in sixth form with us. Thank you.